My beloved child, pause every restlessness within your heart and listen to me with the deepest attentiveness you can offer, not with your physical ears, but with that hidden place deep within your soul, the place that remains quiet when the world becomes too loud. For the words I am about to whisper to you are not fleeting sounds. They carry the breath of eternity, spoken from the heart of a father who sees the entire road ahead of you, including the turns you cannot yet imagine. I know you are living days that seem ordinary. You wake up, work, think, hope, sometimes tired, sometimes telling yourself that you have grown accustomed to this rhythm of life. But, my beloved, great things do not always arrive with noise and commotion. They come in silence. They take shape slowly in deeper layers that your emotions have not yet touched and your reasoning has not yet named. Even now, as you walk through today, your tomorrow has already begun to be woven. I tell you this not to unsettle you, nor to plant a vague fear within your heart. I speak because I am your father, and a father does not turn away when he knows his child is about to pass through a moment that reaches the deepest part of the soul. Tomorrow, you will cry, but those tears will not be signs of weakness or failure. They are the voice of a heart being touched by truth, a truth you cannot yet face today, but one you will not be able to avoid tomorrow. Perhaps right now everything still feels fine. Perhaps you are still holding on to a familiar sense of steadiness, still believing you have control over what is unfolding. But, my beloved, not every movement creates immediate tremors. Some changes happen quietly, like underground currents flowing beneath the earth unheard, yet strong enough to redirect an entire source. I see those currents. I see what is forming in the unseen realm, where your eyes have not yet reached. I see the atmosphere of the moment that is approaching. It is unlike the days you have known. It carries a subtle tension, a feeling difficult to name, as though your soul will recognize something before your mind can understand it. I see the words that will be spoken not by chance, not on impulse, but as the result of a long, silent process unfolding within another person's heart. I see the conversation being arranged. Every sentence, every intention, every pause between the words, my beloved child. I also see the decision that person is about to make, a decision they themselves have wrestled with many times. Some choices are not difficult because love is absent, but because truth eventually demands to be named. And when that decision is spoken, it will reach you not merely as information, but as a wave that moves straight into your heart, causing you to stop, take a deep breath, and realize that something has changed. I know you will be surprised. I know you will wonder why you did not sense it sooner, why you were not more prepared, but do not blame yourself. Some things can only be understood when they happen. Some doors open only when you are standing right at their threshold. And some tears fall only when your soul feels safe enough to experience fully. I want you to know this. I was there before you. Before the words were spoken, before the decision was made, even before you realized your heart was beginning to tremble. I am not watching from afar. I am very near, so near that every beat of your heart rests within my gentle gaze. I will not abandon you in that moment, and I will not let you walk through it alone, my beloved child. What is coming toward you is not meant to destroy you, even if at first you feel pain, disappointment, or as though something familiar within you has been shaken. Trust me, some things must be shaken for you to step into a deeper level of life. Some tears are necessary to wash away what you have carried for far too long without realizing it. When that moment arrives, do not rush to escape your emotions. Do not force yourself into a strained strength. Let me be there with you in silence if needed, in slow breathing, in each heartbeat as it gradually steadies. I will not pressure you to understand everything at once. I simply invite you to remain, to feel, and to trust that even in the moments you least expect, I am still guiding you step by step. Remember this, my beloved child. I never warn you to frighten you. I warn you so you know you are not alone. Tomorrow may bring tears, but it also brings truth, and truth, even when painful, always opens the way to healing. And after those tears, you will no longer be who you are today. You will be deeper, freer, and closer to my heart than ever before. My beloved child, if today you truly pause to listen to me, not with fleeting curiosity, not with a heart half open and half closed, but with the full depth of your soul, you need to understand something very important. To what is coming has no power to destroy you. Even now, as I speak to you, I am not speaking only for the present. I am laying a foundation for tomorrow. I am planting within you a quiet understanding, so that when you face intense emotions, you will not be swept away, not submerged, and not lose yourself. Tomorrow, you may cry, but my child, tears are not always a sign of collapse. Some tears are proof that you are still alive, still able to feel, still carrying a heart soft enough to be touched. I do not allow those tears to fall to break you. I allow them to come, to open a deeper layer within you, a place you have long been afraid to enter, a place you learned to avoid out of fear of pain, fear of weakness, fear that you might not be strong enough. If today you listen to me, if you let my words soak into every thought, every reaction, every expectation, then tomorrow, even if tears fall, they will not define who you are. You are not the sum of your moments of vulnerability. You are not the result of a difficult conversation. You are not the consequence of a decision made by someone else. You are the one I called by name before you understood who you were. And no tear has the authority to erase that truth. My beloved child, there are pains that can only mislead those who walk without knowing where they are going. But you are not like that. You are walking with me, and when I am with you, nothing can push you off the path that has already been set. Even in moments when you feel as though you are standing at a crossroads, even in seconds when you question whether everything is still aligned, I am there, quietly keeping your steps from falling into chaos. Those tears will not imprison you either. They are not a cage that locks your future inside your past. They do not come to bind you to a painful memory or a sense of loss. If you allow me to lead, you will see that tears stay only long enough to speak what needs to be spoken, and then they withdraw, making room for clarity. You will not be trapped in sorrow, because I did not create you to live in prolonged darkness. And my child, I need you to understand this clearly. What is coming will not break your destiny. Your destiny is not so fragile that a single touch can shatter it. It has been forged through time, through waiting, through seasons when you thought you were standing still. A few tears are not enough to destroy what I have etched deeply into your soul. On the contrary, those very tears will reveal a strength you never realized you possessed. Your life story does not end there. Do not look at tears as a period. Do not assume that pain means closure. There are chapters that can only open when the previous chapter closes in honesty. And sometimes, that honesty comes through tears. I do not write your story with hurried strokes. I write with patience, with depth, and with clear purpose. Each chapter leads to the next, not to repeat, but to mature. My beloved child, even the tears I allow to fall are not accidental. They carry a purpose, even if you cannot see it at first. They carry a direction, even while you are confused. They carry a route, even when the map is incomplete. And deeper than all of that, they carry a sacred mission, a mission to awaken, a mission to heal, a mission to lead you out of old limits you have grown used to accepting. There are things that can only be revealed when you allow yourself to feel fully. There are invisible chains that can only be loosened when tears touch the ground and wash away defenses hardened over the years. I do not let you cry to make you weaker. I let you cry so you can become lighter, truer, and freer. After the tears, you will see more clearly what needs to be kept, what needs to be released, and what belongs only to a season that is already past. So, my beloved child, listen to me today. Open your heart right now, before tomorrow arrives, not to avoid tears, but to walk through them with understanding, with support, and with the trust that I am with you in every breath. When you do, you will realize that tears are not your enemy. They are only messengers coming to signal a transformation, then quietly departing, so you can continue stepping into what I prepared for you long ago. Tomorrow, when your tears fall, do not rush to conclude that something is breaking. Some tears are born not from loss, but from unveiling. Some inner tremors are not signs of injury, but the knock of a turning point drawing very near. When truth approaches the light, when things once hidden in shadow begin to stir, your sensitive heart will feel it first, and because you feel it, you will cry not because you are weak, but because your soul is alive enough not to close itself off from what is being revealed. I want you to understand that there are moments in life when a veil is lifted, when what was hidden no longer remains silent, and a person cannot remain as they once were. A relationship may change direction not because it was wrong, but because it has completed its role in a former season. A person may finally speak what they have held for too long not to hurt you, but because truth has reached the moment it must be named. A circumstance may shift not because you failed, but because you were never meant to remain at that starting point. When these things happen together, tears are the natural response of a heart learning to let go in order to move forward. You were taught that strength means restraint, that it means keeping a calm face in the midst of every upheaval. But I tell you something deeper. True strength is allowing truth to pass through you without being distorted. Tears do not make you smaller, they expand you. They wash away old layers of defense, beliefs that no longer fit, and the stories you once told yourself in order to survive difficult seasons. When you cry, you do not lose your dignity, you are restoring to your soul its full capacity to feel. There are tears that carry a quiet gratitude, even before your lips know how to name it. There are tears that serve as a farewell to an older version of yourself, a version that tried too hard, endured too long, and sacrificed too deeply while forgetting the life still flowing within. And there are also tears that are a greeting to what is coming, even when you cannot yet see its shape clearly. You do not cry because I am absent, but because I am close enough to reach depths that words cannot touch. I know you fear that if you allow yourself to weep, you will lose control. But listen to me, there are forms of control that must be released for you to be free. There are old structures that must be dismantled so that new order can take root. When you let the tears pass through, you are not swept away, you are cleansed, like a river after the rain. Your heart will become clearer, deeper, and more ready to receive light in a new way. This is a purification invisible from the outside, but unmistakable within. Tomorrow, when you face the truth, whether about a relationship, a person, or yourself, do not rush to condemn yourself for the emotions that rise up. Allow your heart to do what it knows how to do. Respond honestly. I do not call you to become hardened in order to survive. I call you to become discerning in order to live. And discernment does not come by denying emotion, but by walking through it with the trust that I am guiding every step. My child, remember this, not every tear is born of sorrow. Some tears are evidence of courage, the courage to face reality, the courage to change. the courage to release what has reached its time to depart. When you cry, you are saying yes to the process of maturation I am carrying out within you. And when that process is complete, you will rise with clearer eyes, a lighter heart, and a more defined direction. I am here, not distant and observing, but near and sustaining. I do not stand outside when you weep. I am present in that very moment, working quietly, patiently, precisely. What is being brought into the light does not come to destroy you, but to free you. What is changing does not come to take your future away, but to open a path that better fits the person you are becoming. My beloved child, what is approaching you does not wear the face of destruction. Even if its first sensation may leave you unsteady, it does not come to erase what you have built, but to realign what has gone off course. There are times when you assume that shaking means collapse. Yet, in the spiritual realm, shaking is often a sign of loving intervention. When a ship must change direction to avoid hidden rocks, the helm has to turn, and that moment is rarely gentle. What is coming is like that, not to disorient you, but to lead you away from familiar grooves that have been carrying you farther from life. I know you have carried the fear that your future might be ruined by sudden change. But listen to me slowly and carefully. What is coming does not arrive to shatter your future, but to reset its foundation. Some structures appear solid, yet inside they are weary because they were built on outdated assumptions. When I touch them, you may hear cracking, not because I despise what you have done, but because I want you to have a foundation capable of bearing the weight of a greater calling. Your future is not under threat. It is being protected by removing what cannot truly support it. You also fear that what is about to happen carries punishment. But I tell you this, I do not come to you as a cold judge, but as a merciful deliverer. What is coming does not aim to condemn you, but to draw you out of the restraints you have grown accustomed to calling normal. There are chains that look like habits, prisons that resemble safety, and walls built more from fear than from truth. When I break them, you may panic, but that is the moment you step into the light. Breathe deeply and realize how long you have been confined. You asked for clarity, and I heard you. But clarity rarely arrives in a neat package. It often comes like a light being switched on in a room where you have learned to walk in darkness. When the light turns on, you do not only see the exit, you also see the dust, the hidden corners, the things you no longer need. The shaking you feel is not a sign that I have withdrawn, but proof that I am turning on the light. And light, even when gentle, has the power to reveal what you have long avoided seeing. You also asked for the truth, and when the truth comes, it does not always soothe the emotions. At times, it is like the surgeon's blade, precise, without excess, cutting only what must be removed to stop the infection. The initial sting is not the purpose, healing is. I do not allow truth to enter your life to make you bleed in vain, but to prevent a pain that would otherwise linger in silence. When truth is named, you may tremble, but your soul will no longer have to pretend. You ask me to expose what does not come from me, and I have begun to do so. Exposure is rarely gentle, because it touches what you have learned to shield attachments rooted in fear, promises without life, paths chosen out of familiarity rather than truth. When these things are revealed, you may feel pain not because I am harming you, but because you are loosening your grip on what once held you tightly. Remember, this freedom rarely arrives without a sharp moment of ache. You also asked for my will, and that will, in love, sometimes requires removal, not because I am withholding, but because your hands are already full. You have been holding on to things that once helped you survive a former season, but now hinder you from entering the next. I do not take away to leave you empty. I take away to make room for what fits. When your hands open, you will realize you are lighter, more agile, and ready for what is coming. My beloved, tomorrow, if tears fall from your eyes, do not rush to think it is because you are weak or because something precious is being taken from your life. You will weep because I love you deeply enough not to leave you confined in spaces that have grown too small for your soul. There are places that once sheltered you, that helped you stand through a stormy season, but have now become low ceilings and narrow walls, restricting your breath. When I lead you out of such places, your heart will ache, not only because you are leaving a location, but because you are leaving behind an older version of yourself. Those tears are a sign that you are growing, and growth rarely happens in silence. I love you enough not to leave you beside people who fit only the person you were yesterday. Some connections once supported you when you were weak, but would slow you when you are called to move faster. Some people love you as best as they know how, yet cannot walk with you to where I am leading. When I allow distance to form, when relationships change, pace, or quietly drift away, your heart will feel hollow. You will cry not because I am taking love from you, but because I am teaching you the difference between attachment and companionship. Not everyone who once walked beside you is meant to remain until the end of the road. I also love you enough to loosen from you the expectations you have worn like a garment that no longer fits, the expectations of others, of society, even of yourself, the images of who you should become, how you should live, which path you should choose to be accepted. Some expectations sound reasonable, safe, even applauded, yet they suffocate the deepest calling within you. When I touch these expectations and cause them to shake, you will lose your balance. You will cry because you no longer know whom you are meant to please first. But in that emptiness, you will begin to hear more clearly as I call you back to who you truly are. I love you enough to shatter the illusions you have leaned on to feel secure. The illusion that if you try a little harder, endure a little longer, remain silent a little more, everything will resolve itself. The illusion that you can take detours and still arrive where I have appointed. The illusion that comfort is the same as truth. When these illusions collapse, you will feel pain because illusions, though unreal, once helped you survive. But I did not create you merely to survive. I created you to live fully, to walk in truth, even when that truth requires a change of direction. I love you enough not to let you continue down paths that appear smooth, but do not lead you to your destiny. There are roads that are flat, with few collisions, few questions, few challenges, but also no depth, no transformation, no life of the kind I placed within you. When I block those paths, you will be confused, even disappointed. You will cry because you do not understand why what seems easy is not open to you. But I see what you do not yet see. That easy road would stop you before you ever touched what I planted in your soul from the beginning. My child, before you drew your first breath, I wrote your story not by chance, but with purpose. I know which seasons you must pass through, whom you must meet, and which lessons you must learn to become yourself. So when I intervene, when I allow farewells, changes, losses, or delays, it is not because I have broken a promise, but because I am protecting the deepest promise I placed within you. I do not intervene to control you. I intervene to rescue you from choices that would diminish you over time. Tomorrow, when you cry, let those tears pass through you like a cleansing stream. Do not rush to wipe them away with self-blame or doubts about my love. Remember that not everything that leaves your life is a loss. Some departures are making space. Not every closed door is rejection. Some doors close so you will not wander into the wrong room. And not every pain is a sign of failure. Some pain is proof that you are being shaped to carry the weight of your destiny. I am very near to you in that moment, not to urge you to stop crying, but to stay with you until the tears subside and your vision grows clearer. After the tears, you will not be weaker. You will be lighter, clearer, freer. And when you rise, you will realize that what I removed was never your true foundation. Your true foundation remains firm, alive, and anchored in my love that never changes. The tears you once believed were signs of weakness, loss of control, or evidence of woundedness within my hands. They carry a far deeper purpose. Every tear I allow to surface in your life is weighed with love, placed at the right moment, at the precise depth of your soul. They do not come to drain you. They come to initiate a process you cannot yet perceive. You do not realize that each tear is a seed, not a seed falling onto barren ground of despair, but one sown into soil I am preparing for a new season. When you weep, you are watering the ground where your future blessings will take root. Some things cannot grow in soil hardened by suppression, by buried emotions, by words never spoken aloud. Only when tears soften the ground can life rise from beneath. What you call pain, I call the moisture necessary for life. The enemy wants you to fear these tears. It whispers that if you cry, you are losing, that if you feel deeply, you are becoming weak, that if you allow yourself to tremble, you will not endure. But I tell you the opposite. It is because you dare to cry that you do not become hardened. It is because you dare to feel that you do not lose your soul. The enemy urges you to flee from tears because it knows that within them lies revelation. What has been buried will be brought into the light. Illusions will dissolve, and truth will find its rightful place. I do not want you to fear what is being revealed through your tears. I want you to be prepared to understand them. Within every tear is a message waiting to be deciphered. Some carry a farewell to a season that is closed. Some carry release from burdens you have carried on behalf of others for far too long. Some carry awakening, reminding you that you were not created to live halfway or to endure in silence. As you learn to listen to your tears, you will begin to hear me more clearly, not through thunder, but through a gentle understanding forming within you. The enemy wants you to look toward tomorrow with anxiety. It wants you to imagine the worst outcomes, to condition your mind for loss, collapse, and failure. But I want you to face tomorrow with eyes cleansed by tears, eyes of understanding. Understanding that not every unknown is a threat. Understanding that change does not equal punishment. Understanding that when I allow something to be shaken, I have already prepared what will sustain you afterward. Tears do not blur your vision. They sharpen it if you do not resist the process. My child, I do not warn you to frighten you. I do not whisper about what is coming so that you will live in tension or unrest. I warn you because I love you enough not to let you step into tomorrow unprepared. My warnings do not carry the scent of panic. They carry the scent of care. Like a father placing his hand on your shoulder before a long journey, I speak ahead of time so you will not be startled, so you will know you are not alone, and so you will not confuse shaking with collapse. Nor do I warn you to burden your heart. I warn you to give you an advantage. When you understand that your tears have purpose, you will no longer panic when they arrive. When you recognize that emotional trembling is part of preparation, you will stop fleeing your feelings. Your advantage is not found in avoiding all pain, but in moving through it with clarity. When darkness does not surprise you, you will not lose your direction when the light begins to shine. And engrave this deeply within your heart. I do not warn you because despair is coming. I warn you because restoration awaits you on the other side of what is about to unfold. No true restoration arrives without passing through truth. No deep healing comes without touching the layers of pain that were long neglected. What you are sensing is not evidence that things are getting worse, but proof that they are being brought into a truer order. You may not yet see the good that is forming, For seeds always germinate in darkness before they reach the light. But I see it. I see roots growing deeper. I see strength accumulating. I see a new season preparing to rise from the very place you once believed held only tears. Do not rush to conclude your story while it is still being written. Do not call it an ending when I am doing the work of beginning. So when the tears come, do not push them away. Let them finish their work. Let them water your soul. Soften the places hardened by waiting, by disappointment, by sacrifices never acknowledged. Then rise not as one who is lost, but as one who has been prepared. I am leading you through this process not to diminish you, but to expand you wide enough for what I am about to place in your hands. My beloved child, tomorrow will open into a moment when you will feel the fragility within your heart very clearly. Your heart will soften, as though the hard layers you once used to protect yourself are being gently removed. You may notice yourself becoming more sensitive, more easily stirred, more prone to tears. But I want you to understand this deeply, that fragility is not a sign of danger, nor is it a signal that you are on the verge of collapse. In my hands, fragility is a doorway, and when that doorway opens, transformation begins. You have grown accustomed to holding yourself together, to staying strong and steady by concealing the parts of you that are easily wounded. You learned to stand upright even when you were weary inside, to smile even when your heart felt heavy. Yet, there are things that cannot be healed while wrapped in armor. There are truths that can only be reached when you allow yourself to soften. Fragility does not make you weaker, it makes you more real. And truth is always the first foundation of every transformation I bring about. When you are fragile in my hands, I do not abandon you. I do not leave you adrift in unanchored emotions. I lift you up, like a potter placing firm yet gentle hands upon wet clay. I use that very softness to shape you. If the clay is too hard, it will crack when bent. If your heart is too closed, it will not withstand the new form I am creating. That is why I allow you to be fragile, so you may be lifted higher, not broken. Fragility in my presence is not a state of instability, it is a state of readiness. When you no longer defend yourself, you begin to hear more clearly. When you stop trying to control everything, you start to realize how near I am. There are words I do not speak when you are bracing yourself to endure, but I whisper them when you exhale, when you release, when you dare to admit that you need to be guided. It is in those moments that my voice reaches the deepest places. I want you to know that fragility under my voice is where destiny is reminded into being, not in noise, not in the pressure to appear strong, but in the stillness of an open heart. Your destiny is not written in haste. It is formed in the moments when you dare to face your own truth. When you allow me to touch the deepest layers, places you once avoided or hid, I begin to place within them a new direction, a new vision, and new life. Tomorrow, when that moment arrives, you may feel as though you are standing on a very delicate threshold on one side, the old habit of calming yourself through logic alone, on the other, an invitation to step into deeper listening. I invite you to listen, not with your ears, but with your whole being. Listen to what your heartbeat is saying. Listen to what rises when you are no longer rushing. Listen to the silence between the waves of emotion. It is in that silence that I will speak. And when I speak, you will recognize this. The tears forming do not carry the scent of confusion. They do not come from being lost, but from clarity. There are tears that are born when all the pieces suddenly fall into place. When you understand why you walked those paths, why certain doors closed, why you could not remain as you were. These are tears of recognition, tears of ceasing to argue with reality and beginning to walk with it. I know you once feared that if you became too fragile, you would be hurt. But my child. The deepest wounds do not come from fragility. They come from pretending that you do not need me. When you allow yourself to soften before me, you are not exposing yourself to danger. You are placing yourself in the safest place there is. My presence does not crush your fragility. It surrounds it, supports it, and transforms it into a new strength, the strength of honesty, of discernment, of walking with awareness. Tomorrow is not the day you lose control. It is the day you return the right to lead, not to circumstances, not to passing emotions, but to me, the one who sees the whole landscape, while you see only a bend in the road. When you allow me to lead, fragility is no longer frightening. It becomes a sign that you are in the right place, at the right time, in the right posture to receive what I am about to give. So if tomorrow you feel your heart soften, do not rush to rebuild the old walls. Do not push away emotion for fear that it will make you weak. Stay in that moment. Breathe. Listen. And when tears come, let them fall without judgment. They do not come to blur the road ahead. They come to cleanse your vision. After that fragile moment, you will not leave unchanged. You will carry clarity, not every detailed answer, but certainty about the direction. You will know what to release, what to keep, and what to step toward with renewed trust. I am at work within you, quietly yet profoundly. And right there, in the midst of your fragility, your destiny is being awakened. My beloved child, I am gently preparing your heart, because the moment that will open tomorrow is not a random event that simply falls into your life and passes without meaning. It has been arranged with intention, set at the right time, and covered by my careful care. Before you even begin to think about tomorrow, I am already there. I have stepped into that moment not as a distant observer, but as the one standing at its very center. I have seen your gaze, heard the rhythm of your heart, and understood your reactions not to judge you, but to uphold you. You often think that what frightens you most is what you do not yet know. But let me tell you this, what makes you strong is not knowing everything, but knowing that I have already been there ahead of you. I do not send you into tomorrow unprepared. I do not lead you to a threshold without placing within you what is needed to cross it. There is already a quiet strength within you, not loud, not showy, but steady and enduring. That strength does not come from confidence in yourself, but from the fact that I have placed my own presence deep within you. Tomorrow, when that moment arrives, you will feel many things. You will not become numb or hardened. You will be moved. You will be sensitive. You will feel your heart open. But you will not be overwhelmed. You will not break. You will not collapse as you once feared during long nights of thought. I have not built you with fragile materials. I have shaped you through seasons that felt meaningless, through waiting with no answers, through times when you had to stand up without applause. None of that was wasted. All of it has quietly formed resilience within your soul. You will not drown in your emotions. Yes, emotions will come, because you are a living human being, not a stone. But they will not consume you, because I have placed within you the ability to stand firm even when the waves rise high. I have taught you, though you may not have realized it, the difference between feeling and being swept away. You will feel, but you will not fall. Your heart may soften, but the inner pillar within you will remain standing. What holds you is not tight control, but being firmly anchored to my voice. Hear me clearly, I have gone before you. You do not step into tomorrow alone. You are not the first to face this moment. I have already stood there, seen the full picture, and known what will touch you and what will simply pass by. Therefore, do not fear what is coming. That fear is unnecessary, and it does not come from me. What you need to guard against is not the event itself, but the possibility of ignoring my voice in the midst of it. Do not fear tears. My beloved, tears do not make you weaker. They do not strip you of dignity, nor do they push me farther away from you. But fear silence, not the holy silence where you listen, but the silence that forms when you refuse to let my word anchor your soul. When you stop listening, when you allow the noise of anxiety, speculation, and other voices to drown out my voice, that is where you are most likely to slip, not because I withdraw, but because you do not allow me to lead. My voice is not a vague sound. It is direction. It is the line that keeps you balanced when you stand on the edge of change. It is your shield when emotions try to pull you in opposite directions. When you keep my voice near, you will not lose your way. When you keep my word at the center, you will not fall apart. And when you choose to trust my guidance, you will discover that what you once thought was dangerous is actually just a door that needs to be opened in the right way. My guidance does not always make you comfortable, but it always keeps you safe. My deliverance does not always come by removing every shaking, but often by leading you through it without losing yourself. I do not promise you a tomorrow without challenges. I promise you a tomorrow where you are not abandoned in the midst of them, and that promise does not rest on your own strength, but on my faithfulness, my beloved child. When you touch pain, whether it comes from a word spoken, a truth exposed, or something you can no longer avoid, my spirit will be there, not standing far away to observe, not arriving late to console you, but present the very moment the pain reaches the threshold of your heart. That presence is not loud, but steady, not forceful, but sustaining. You will not be left alone in that fragile place. I am there to keep pain from turning into despair, to let it pass through you like water arriving, touching, and then flowing on without freezing your soul. When you find yourself confused, when questions rise faster than answers, my wisdom will be there, not the kind of wisdom that makes everything instantly clear, but clarity enough to keep you from panicking. I will give you discernment to know what to listen to and what to lay down, to recognize the noise of anxiety and the whisper of truth. Confusion is not proof that you are on the wrong path. Sometimes it is a sign that you are standing before a new threshold where old ways of thinking are no longer sufficient, and a deeper light is needed. My beloved child, when you feel disappointed because what you hoped for did not unfold the way you imagined, my comfort will be there, not to deny what you feel, and not to force you to be strong right away, but to give you a place to rest. Some disappointments do not come because you hoped too much, but because you placed your hope in the wrong place. I do not blame you for that. I comfort you so that you may have enough peace to look back, enough gentleness toward yourself, and enough courage to change direction without condemning yourself. When you feel unsteady, when everything seems out of balance, my hand will rest upon you. That hand does not pull you backward, nor does it push you forward in haste. I place my hand to steady you, to remind you that you do not have to hold yourself up alone. There are moments when you do not need more explanations. You need a point of support, and I am that support, steady, patient, unmoved by your passing emotions. You need to understand this clearly. Tomorrow is not your destruction. It does not come to erase who you are, nor to break you apart. Tomorrow is a redirection, a necessary adjustment so that you do not continue straining yourself on paths that have already worn you down. There are things you have endured for far too long, not because they were right, but because you grew accustomed to enduring them. You called it faithfulness, responsibility, perseverance, but your soul has grown tired. I will not allow you to keep calling exhaustion a virtue. I redirect you so that you may live, not merely survive. There are people you trusted beyond the boundaries of wisdom, not because they were evil, but because they were never meant to carry the weight of the hope you placed upon them. You gave them a position that only I can hold securely. When the truth is revealed, you will feel pain because trust placed in the wrong place always leaves an emptiness behind. But that emptiness does not come to hollow you out. It comes to restore me to the center of your heart, where I can uphold you without failing you. There are expectations you built from your own reasoning, expectations that sounded logical, were affirmed by many, and brought a sense of safety. Yet not everything that is reasonable is aligned with your destiny. When I touch those expectations and allow them to waver, you will feel confused. You will ask yourself where you went wrong. My child, not every collapse is a sign of failure. Sometimes it is a sign of realignment so that you do not go further down a path that leads only to exhaustion. There are assumptions you believed because you had not yet seen the full picture. You drew conclusions from the fragments you had, and I do not fault you for that. But as the full picture gradually emerges, you will realize that some things you once called certain were only temporary. When truth reveals itself, it may bring tears, not because I desire your pain, but because tears help you release what is no longer true. There are hopes you placed in the wrong places, places unable to support you when the waves grow strong. You hoped in the stability of circumstances, in the promises of people, in carefully laid plans. These things have their value, but they are not the ultimate foundation. When they begin to shake, you will feel afraid. Yet in that very moment, I am teaching you to place your hope in what does not move, where I am, where I lead, where I keep my word. And then, tomorrow, something will reveal a truth. It may be within your living environment, a change that no longer allows you to remain as you were. It may be within relationships, a word spoken, an action taken, or a silence that says more than words ever could. It may be within your thoughts, a realization that shows you how you have been limiting yourself for so long. It may be within your plans, a door closing so that another direction may open. That truth will carry tears. Yes, but at the same time, it will carry release, freeing you from unnecessary burdens, from roles that no longer fit, from paths that no longer lead to life. My beloved child, do not fear tomorrow's tears. Fear only turning away from truth when it comes knocking. Do not fear emotions rising. Fear allowing emotions to lead you away from my voice. Let my spirit be there when you hurt. Let my wisdom be there when you are confused. Let my comfort be there when you are disappointed. Let my hand rest upon you when you feel unsteady. I am not leading you into this redirection to cause you to lose your way, but to bring you back into proper alignment. My beloved child, I am at work in your life not in the way you always expect, but in the way you truly need. I am saving you from tomorrow's pain by allowing tears to appear today. Those tears are not punishment, nor are they a sign that you are weak or mistaken. They are the means I use to reach the deepest place within you, the place where reason cannot protect itself and emotions cannot pretend. There are pains that, if not named early, grow silently and become long-term burdens. I will not allow that to happen to you. I choose the shorter path, even though it is more uncomfortable, so that you do not have to carry prolonged pain. I am saving you from greater losses by allowing a measure of present discomfort. You may feel unsettled when familiar things are disturbed, when what once felt stable suddenly becomes fragile. But understand, this temporary discomfort does not destroy you, it awakens you. Some things appear safe, yet quietly drain your strength day by day. Some small compromises accumulate into deep weariness. I do not want you to wake up when it is too late, when your energy is depleted and your joy has been eroded. Therefore, I intervene early so that you still have the strength to change direction. My beloved child, I am rescuing you from stepping into a snare by letting the blindfold fall away. There are things you have been seeing through the lens of hope, desire, and beautiful memories, but they no longer match the present. I do not blame you for believing. I simply will not allow you to keep believing blindly. When the curtain drops, you will see more clearly, and that clarity may hurt. Yet the pain of truth is still lighter than the cost of illusion. I would rather let you weep because you know, than watch you collapse because you did not. I am saving you from a breaking point that could shake you in the months ahead by revealing what must be revealed today. Some heartbreaks, if they arrive suddenly, would catch you unprepared and leave you struggling to stand. I will not let you be taken by surprise. I bring the truth into the light while you still have enough foundation to receive it, enough support to endure it, and enough time to adjust. I do not reveal it to increase your pain. I reveal it to reduce the damage. I know how strong you are, but I also know your limits, and I honor those limits. I am saving you from a path that would drain your strength by allowing your heart to feel what it needs to feel. You have grown used to bracing yourself, used to explaining, rationalizing, convincing yourself that everything will be fine. But your heart knows the truth long before you dare to admit it. When I allow your heart to feel pain, sorrow, disappointment, I am giving you the means to separate from what no longer fits my will. This separation is not betrayal, it is obedience. It is not running away, it is returning to the right place. You asked me to lead you, and to lead you, I must clear the obstacles from your path. There are habits, attachments, and goals you have carried for too long, not because they were evil, but because they have finished their assignment. The road ahead needs to be more open, more light, more honest. I cannot lead you far if you keep dragging yesterday's burdens. Clearing out can be noisy. It can feel unsettling. But it is necessary so you do not stumble over the very things that once helped you. You also asked me to protect you. And sometimes protection does not look like shielding, it looks like exposure. I expose what is false to guard what is real. I expose what is weak so you will not place your trust where it cannot bear the weight of your future. I expose early so you will not be wounded more deeply later. Exposure may confuse you, but it moves you into a safer position where you know where you stand and where you are headed. You ask me to bless you, and blessing, my beloved, needs room to arrive. That space cannot be occupied by what competes with my purpose. Some blessings cannot sit beside old fears, misaligned priorities, or hope placed in the wrong place. I cleanse the space not to steal your joy, but to make room for true joy. I remove unhealthy competition so the blessing can stand firm and multiply. Look at today's tears with new eyes. They are not a period, they are a comma. They do not end the story, they open the next chapter. I am still writing, and I write with the carefulness of love. I am not rushing, but I also do not delay when I know delay would harm you. Every step I take carries purpose. Everything I allow has a reason. My beloved child, trust that I am rescuing you not only from what you can see, but from what you cannot yet see. I am keeping you from roads that would exhaust you, from traps wrapped in pleasant appearances, from fractures that could throw you off course. Let me do my work. Allow your heart to feel. Allow your tears to fall. Allow the truth to be named. For when everything is set back in its rightful place, you will walk lighter, clearer, and freer under the guidance, protection, and blessing you yourself have asked for, my beloved child. Therefore listen very carefully, not with the strain of a mind spinning in circles, but with the alertness of a heart that knows how to pause. In the moment that is coming, my instruction will matter more than your emotions. Emotions may rise like great waves, loud and towering, but they are not the steering wheel. They signal that something is moving, They are not given authority to decide the direction. I do not deny what you feel. I simply put it in its proper place. Let my word lead you, because my word sees farther than what you are feeling in that moment. Beloved child, do not speak from pain. Pain has a voice of its own, hurried, sharp, and often carrying conclusions that are not yet mature. When you speak from pain, you can wound yourself and others. You can lock doors that only needed to be left ajar. You can stamp a judgment where time and careful seeing were required. Do not react from shock, for shock narrows vision. It makes you see fragments instead of the whole picture. Do not respond from fear, because fear loves to control. It urges you to run, to hide, or to attack, instead of standing firm and listening. Do not let the enemy manipulate that moment. He delights in haste, in words that burst out before truth has time to stand upright, in decisions made while the heart is still trembling. He knows that a single, unanchored moment can tilt an entire direction. So I teach you something simple, yet profound, when tears come. Breathe. Inhale slowly, as though receiving life. Exhale gently, as though laying down a burden. Breath is the bridge that brings you back to the present where I am with you. Be still, not the silence of avoidance, but the silence of listening. In stillness, my presence will wrap around you like a warm cloak. I do not come to numb your emotions. I come to settle them, so you are not swept away. Let my voice calm the confusion, not through harsh commands, but through gentle certainty. Let my peace still the storm, not by denying the waves, but by setting the anchor deeper. If you listen to me tomorrow, you will discover something wondrous right in the midst of tears. An uncommon strength will rise within you, not the strength of bracing yourself to endure, but the strength of standing without defense. You will see that pain does not swallow you. It comes, it touches, and it passes. It does not remain to rule. You will see that fear does not control you. It may knock, but it does not take the wheel. You will see that disappointment does not imprison you. It speaks what it needs to say, then yields to truth. In its place, you will sense a clarity you have not known for many years. This clarity is not loud, it is settled. It does not come from having every question answered, but from knowing which questions are worth holding and which need to be laid down. You will see the truth beneath the surface, not only what is spoken, but also what is concealed by habit, by fear, by self-interest. You will understand hidden motives, not to condemn, but to discern what is good to keep and what must be released. You will recognize the path you are to walk, not as a detailed map, but as a clear direction. Some paths do not need to be explained, they need to be walked. You will sense the direction I am urging you toward, gentle yet firm, not coercive yet uncompromising. It may not be immediately comfortable, but it is true. And truth, though demanding, always sets free. Your tears will do holy work. They will wash away what has clouded your sight. The dust of weariness, the smudges of old assumptions, the fog of misplaced hopes, all will be cleansed. You will see with new eyes, not naive eyes, but eyes trained through trial. Eyes that know how to love without blindness, to trust without losing themselves, to move forward without haste. Remember, beloved, silence at the right time is not weakness, it is wisdom. Waiting at the right time is not avoidance, it is courage. Listening at the right time is not passivity, it is the deepest form of action. When you choose not to speak from pain, not to react from shock, not to respond from fear, you give me room to work, and I work with the greatest precision in the spaces that are entrusted to me. Beloved child, for a long time now, you have been walking with a burden few can see. You have carried many things in silence, not because you are weak, but because you are accustomed to being strong. You are used to enduring, used to keeping the surface calm so everything appears fine, used to telling yourself that with a little more time, a little more patience, everything will eventually fall into place. In those long days, you overlooked small signs, subtle tremors in your heart, questions that brushed against you and drifted away, moments when you sensed hesitation yet kept moving forward, not because you did not know, but because you feared that knowing would require change. You restrained certain emotions, emotions inconvenient to name, emotions that unsettled you because they did not fit the image you wanted to maintain. You told yourself not to think too much, not to be overly sensitive, not to let feelings lead. You learned to explain everything through reason, through responsibility, through circumstance. And so you justified certain behaviors not to conceal wrongdoing, but to protect the fragile stability you were holding on to. You gave others the benefit of the doubt, extended trust beyond the boundaries of wisdom, and stayed a little longer in places where your soul was already whispering that it was time to stop. Wisdom has urged you many times to slow down, not to frighten you, but to keep you safe. Yet you chose to continue, because stopping would have meant facing what was there, and facing it hurts. I do not blame you for that. I see the very human fear within you, the desire for peace, for harmony, for avoiding collision. I also see your loyalty, your kindness, your patience, beautiful qualities you have used to endure. But my child, those beautiful qualities were never meant to imprison you forever. Tomorrow will bring a moment of unveiling, not a sudden blow, but a light cast upon what your soul has sensed for a long time. Your soul has known. It has registered the misalignments, the gaps, the subtle contradictions, but your heart has been afraid to acknowledge them, because acknowledgement leads to decision, and decision alters the rhythm of life. I do not reveal things abruptly to overwhelm you. I bring the light when you are mature enough to stand steady before it. In that moment, tears may come. Do not be afraid. I am with you in every tear, not standing at a distance waiting for you to stop, but very near, steadying your breath until it evens out. I am in the room where that moment unfolds, in the space where you stand, in the light you see, in the atmosphere you feel. I am in the words that will be spoken, words that may tremble at first, but must be spoken so truth can have a place. I am also in the silence afterward, a silence not empty, but full of meaning, where you begin to hear yourself clearly. I am in the strength that will rise within you, not the strength of bracing yourself, but the strength of integrity, the strength to name what must be named, to set boundaries where they must be set, to let go where letting go is required. I am in the decision you will make, a decision no longer driven by fear or habit, but illuminated by truth and peace. I am in the next step you will take, a step that may be slow, but sure, unfamiliar, but rightly directed. You do not step into tomorrow alone. You step into tomorrow with God, the one who has gone ahead of you, who sees the whole when you see only a small corner, who has arranged the outcome toward your good. For your good does not always mean comfortable, but it always means a lasting good. I do not bring you into the light to shame you. I bring you into the light to free you from burdens that are no longer necessary. Trust that what is revealed does not come to take away what is precious to you, but to return to you a freedom long delayed. What you have carried in silence will be set down. What you have suppressed will finally breathe out. What you have justified will be seen again with new eyes, eyes that do not condemn themselves, yet do not deceive themselves either. You will realize that true faithfulness is not staying at all costs, but walking in truth with love and wisdom. My beloved child, you have wavered, yes, There were moments when you could not stand firmly on the very ground that once felt familiar, when everything you trusted began to shake, when what you leaned on no longer held its former shape. You passed through nameless storms, storms not loud in the world outside, yet raging fiercely within, and you endured very long nights, when the world had fallen asleep but your mind had not, when thoughts followed one another like rising waves, crashing and threatening to pull you under with exhaustion, doubt, and fear. There were nights when you did not cry aloud, yet your soul was utterly spent, and yet, right in the midst of all of it, amid the instability, the tempests, the starless nights, there remained something within you, something real, resilient, and difficult to suffocate. The enemy tried to dim it with pressure, with disappointment, with whispers that you were too weak, too tired, too late. But it could never extinguish it. It was not loud or showy, but steady like a flame that refuses to go out in the wind. It was your ability to smile. You may not realize it, but your smile is not small. It is not merely a reflex of the lips, nor simply an effort to appear fine. That smile is a choice to stand on the side of life when circumstances invite surrender. It is a sign that your soul has not been conquered, that the light I placed within you still finds a way out. Even when you cannot yet name that light, the enemy fears that smile, because it cannot be forced, cannot be sustained by pretense, and cannot be taken unless you give it away. You do not realize that when you choose joy, even a very small joy, heaven moves. Not because heaven needs your encouragement, but because your joy resonates with heaven's rhythm. Joy is not a denial of reality. It is a declaration that reality does not have the final word. When you choose joy while circumstances remain unchanged, you are declaring that your soul belongs to a higher order, a kingdom not governed by what is temporary. When you refuse to bow to heaviness, to the pressure to despair, to the invitation to become hardened, darkness trembles, not because you are straining to be strong, but because you do not allow yourself to be defined by the dark. Darkness holds power only when it convinces you that you no longer have a choice. Yet each time you smile in the midst of the storm, you declare that you still do. And that choice is light. You may once have thought that a smile was something small, insignificant in the face of great problems. But my child, in the spiritual realm, what appears small often carries immense weight. A smile is not an escape from pain, it is an opening through which life can enter. It says that you will not let pain seal every door, and it is precisely within that opening that healing begins. When your soul opens to the light I have placed within you, even by the narrowest crack, that light does not remain still. It spreads. It warms places grown cold from waiting, illuminates corners you once avoided, and touches wounds you believed had fallen asleep. Healing does not always arrive in dramatic moments. Sometimes it begins with the faintest smile, a deep breath, a decision not to let today steal your dignity. I know there are days when you smile through tears. I know there are moments when your smile trembles unfinished, uncertain. But my child, I do not demand a perfect smile. I cherish a truthful one, a smile that dares to appear even when you cannot yet see the way out. That smile tells me you still believe. Even as your faith is learning how to breathe in the storm, remember that your ability to smile is not naivete. It is the result of all you have endured. It was forged in long nights, in the times you did not give up though you wanted to, in the steps you took when strength was scarce. That smile bears the marks of a journey, not an easy journey, but a real one. And each time you smile in this way, you are sowing a seed. That seed is not only for you, but for those who see you. Some will not hear your words, yet they will be touched by the smile you keep amid hardship. Some will rediscover hope because they see that you did not allow darkness to decide the ending. You may not know whom you are influencing, but light does not need to know it, only needs to shine. My beloved child, the enemy wants you weighed down. He does not need to knock you down at once. He only needs to let your heart grow heavy long enough. So he whispers for you to be silent, not the holy silence of listening, but the muteness of exhaustion. He wants your face lowered, not in humility, but in lost hope. He wants your soul dimmed, your thoughts darkened, your heart shut tight like a door battered too often by cold wind. He knows that once you accept this atmosphere, you will begin to believe it is normal, that heaviness is destiny. That light belongs to others. But my child, he knows something else as well, something that makes him tremble. He knows that when you smile, you break the atmosphere, not with noise, but with presence. Your smile is like a small opening through which light floods a room long sealed. When you smile, you shatter the recurring cycles of discouragement, the spirals that pull you from hope to disappointment and back to weariness. You break the emotional prisons built by the habit of endurance, by the self-talk of, "I'll get used to it," by the postponement of truth. You break the molds of despair he tries to press upon you, the molds that say you must bow under the weight to find peace. He knows that your smile is resistance, not loud resistance, but steadfast resistance. When you smile, you disrupt the assignment of discouragement hovering over you like a dense cloud. That cloud survives on consent if you agree that today holds nothing to hope for. It will remain. But when you smile, you do not agree. You say no to that atmosphere and yes to the light already placed within you. That very moment is what terrifies him. He knows that a child of mine who knows how to smile is dangerous to him. Dangerous not because of personal strength, but because you carry the mark of another kingdom. Your smile declares that my light is at work. My joy is awakening, and my peace has never been defeated. That peace does not deny the storm, it stands firm within it. That joy does not require favorable circumstances, it takes root in the truth that I am here. Therefore, you must smile not to hide your pain, but to remind your heart of the truth. Each time you smile, you remind yourself that I am still with you. You remind yourself that your story is not finished. You remind yourself that what you are feeling does not have the authority to determine what I am doing. Your smile is a gentle yet resolute reminder you are not abandoned. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. When you smile, you are declaring, without loud words, that God is not finished with me. God is still moving even when I cannot see it. God is still working even when I cannot yet feel it. That declaration does not need to be proven immediately. It stands firm because its source is me. And when you declare it, your soul exhales more freely. Your thoughts grow clearer. Your heart opens just a little more. That small opening is enough for life to enter. Your smile becomes a living prayer not written in sentences, yet resounding in the spiritual realm. It says that you choose to trust even when the answer has not arrived. It says that you choose light even when the path is still unclear. It says that you place yourself under guidance, not under pressure. And so, that smile is also a quiet act of worship, no stage. No background music, only a sincere heart. More than that, your smile is a spiritual weapon, not a weapon meant to wound, but to push back. It pushes back the darkness trying to cling to your soul. It pushes back the whispers that want you to believe every effort is futile. Each time you smile, you sever an invisible thread of discouragement. Each time you smile, you unlock a small door for hope to step in. And small doors, when kept open long enough, will change the entire room. My beloved child, now I want to lead you beyond the surface of emotion, into the depth where true transformation takes place. There are seasons in life not designed for reaction, but for inner restructuring. What you have walked through has not been a passing test. It has been shaping how you see, how you listen, and how you move through this world. I did not allow these things to harden you, but to root you in a new way, not rigid, not defensive, but deeply grounded. There are things you have carried for far too long because you believed they were your responsibility. You thought that if you let go, everything would collapse. You thought that if you paused, you would disappoint others. You thought that if you spoke honestly, you would lose the fragile safety you had built. But my child, some responsibilities do not come from me. Some burdens were placed on your shoulders by others' expectations, by roles you assumed, by the fear that if you did not hold everything together, no one would. I did not call you to live like that. I am teaching you discernment not to make you cold, but to help you know what belongs to you and what does not. Discernment does not distance you, it frees you. When you know what to keep and what to return, your soul grows lighter without losing love. You do not need to carry everything to prove your worth. Your worth does not come from endurance, but from the truth that you belong to me. There are connections you have sustained through quiet self-sacrifice. You have given more than you received, not from overflowing love, but from fear of the emptiness that might follow if you stopped. But I did not design love to drain you. True love flows both ways. It nourishes. It does not merely consume. When I begin to expose those imbalances, it may hurt, but that pain is not meant to condemn you. It is meant to awaken you from a pattern you have long mistaken for normal. You also need to know this. Some doors closed, not because you were rejected, but because you were protected. I closed doors that would have made you smaller over time, places where you had to keep proving yourself, adjusting yourself just to be accepted. I did not call you to live in contraction. I called you to walk in your truth, where you do not have to pretend in order to remain. In the time ahead, you will notice a subtle shift in how you respond. Things that once confused you will no longer hold the same power. Words that once unsettled you will not reach as deeply as before. Not because you have become numb, but because you have grown roots. Those roots were formed in the nights you learned to be still, in the moments you chose not to answer too quickly, in the times you chose to listen instead of defend yourself. Those roots are quiet, but they are strong. I am also at work in how you see yourself. You have grown accustomed to viewing yourself through the lens of roles, what you can do, how much you can carry, how useful you are. But I am inviting you into a different way of seeing, to see yourself as one who is loved before being entrusted, chosen before being sent. When you build on that foundation, you will no longer need to prove your worth through exhaustion. You will work, love, and serve from fullness, not from lack. You may feel a sense of emptiness when the old things fall away. Do not rush to fill that emptiness. Emptiness is not always loss. Sometimes it is the space I create in order to place something new. If you hurry to fill it, you will miss the delicate arrangement that is quietly unfolding. Let the emptiness breathe. Let it become a place of listening, a place of rest, a place where the rhythm of your life is gently reoriented. In the days ahead, you will be invited to walk more slowly, not because you are weak, but because you are learning to walk rightly. There are paths that cannot be rushed without losing clarity. I am not hurried. I do not pull you forward by pressure. I lead you by a light that is sufficient for each step. And every step, no matter how small, carries meaning within the larger picture that you cannot yet fully see. My beloved, trust that the silence you are experiencing is not the emptiness of abandonment, but the stillness of formation. I am rearranging the deeper layers within you, the way you believe, the way you love, the way you set boundaries, the way you rest. When this work is complete, you will not simply be better, you will be truer, and that truth will become the foundation for everything I am about to do through you. Do not be afraid if you no longer fit into old patterns. Do not be unsettled if you no longer react as you once did. This is not the loss of yourself, it is growth. You are not losing who you are rediscovering yourself at a deeper level. A place no longer driven by fear, no longer pushed by pressure, no longer confined by expectations that do not come from me. My beloved, for now, I want you to remain a little longer in this stillness, for it is here that the most important shifts are taking place. There are works of mine that require no applause, no immediate proof, no external validation. They unfold quietly, like roots pressing deep into the soil, unseen by all. Yet those very roots determine how firmly the tree will stand when strong winds come. What I am doing in you now is not meant to create a stronger version of you as the world defines strength, but a more aligned version, one that no longer has to strain to keep its balance. You are used to needing understanding before you move forward. You want to see the entire road, to know the outcome in advance so you can feel secure. But I am teaching you a different way of living, a life shaped by trust rather than control. Trust does not mean abandoning reason. It means not placing reason on the highest throne. There are things that can only be understood after you have walked through them. And there are doors that open only when you dare to stand at their threshold, even while your hands are still trembling. In the time ahead, you will notice that I am no longer urging you to do more, but inviting you to be more rightly positioned rightly with what I am saying, with the rhythm I am leading, with the boundaries I am setting. Boundaries are not a lack, they are the fence of grace. When you learn to honor limits, the limits of time, of strength, of emotion, you will no longer have to pay the price of exhaustion. I do not require you to sacrifice your inner life in order to fulfill my will. My will always walks alongside life. You will also begin to notice subtle changes in the way you choose. You are no longer drawn into futile arguments simply to prove that you are right. You no longer feel the need to explain every decision to everyone, not because you have grown distant, but because you have found your inner anchor. When you know you are walking with me, you do not need permission from every surrounding voice. The peace within you will become a clearer confirmation than any external approval. There may be people who do not understand you during this season. They may say that you have changed, that you are no longer the same. Do not rush to defend yourself. The change I am working in you does not need justification. You are not called to preserve an old shape simply to keep others comfortable. You are called to be faithful to what I am forming, even when that faithfulness requires some relationships to adjust their distance. That distance does not always mean separation. Sometimes it is the only way both sides can breathe. I am also teaching you to discern the difference between being busy and being sent. Busyness wears you down. Being sent brings you to life. There are tasks that look meaningful, that receive praise, yet do not come from me. And there are tasks that are quiet, ordinary, almost unnoticed, yet are precisely where I have placed you. Do not measure my leading by how loud the results appear. Measure it by the peace you carry as you walk within it. My beloved child, I know you once feared that if you slowed down, you would be left behind. But listen to me, you cannot be left behind when you walk with me. I do not run ahead of you to test whether you can keep up. I walk beside you sometimes at a pace slower than the rhythm of the world, but always in step with the rhythm of life. When you slow down with me, you do not miss opportunities. You avoid the misalignments that would one day force you to turn back. There are things I am gently taking from your hands not to empty you, but to restore your freedom. I take away the pressure to always be right, the burden to always be okay, the role of always being strong. I give back to you the right to be someone who is learning, growing, and being led. When you allow yourself to stand in that place, you will feel lighter without becoming smaller. You will also learn to trust the process, not as an abstract idea, but as a lived experience. There will be days with no clear signs, no major breakthroughs, no intense emotions. Do not despise those days. It is the ordinary days that are quietly weaving lasting stability within you. I am not building you only for peak moments. I am building you for the long journey. And the long journey requires faithfulness in small things. When I say that I am restructuring you, I am speaking not only of your thinking, but of your rhythm of life. You will find yourself invited to rest at the right times, to say no more clearly, and to say yes to what truly nourishes your soul. Rest will no longer be a reward after exhaustion. It will become part of obedience. For you cannot hear my voice clearly when you live in a constant state of depletion. You may be surprised to notice that you are no longer swept up by things that once excited you. Do not be afraid. You are not losing your passion. You are being refined. True passion does not demand that you trade away your peace. It burns steadily, not fiercely. It moves you forward without consuming you. I am shifting you from momentary flames to a steady fire warm enough to sustain you, bright enough to light the way. My beloved child, be patient with yourself in this season. Do not push yourself to go back to how things were. I did not lead you through all of this to return you to the starting point. I am leading you to a more mature place where you do not need noise to know you are living rightly, where you do not need proof to know you are loved, where you do not need to run to know you are moving forward. And when you look back, you will realize that the days that felt the quietest were often the most decisive, not because something dramatic happened, but because you learned to remain with me, remaining when there were no immediate answers, remaining when there was no affirmation, remaining with only a quiet promise that I was at work, and that promise was enough. My beloved child, I want you to know that the phase you are passing through is not merely a transition, but a sacred threshold, a place where you are no longer led primarily by emotions or old habits, but by an ever-deepening awareness. At this threshold, I do not speak louder, I speak more clearly, not through pressure, but through a quiet certainty. And that certainty does not come from everything being clear, but from knowing that you are being held firmly in my hands, even when you cannot yet name what is taking shape. There will be moments when you feel as though you are in between, no longer belonging to what is old, yet not fully touching what is new. That in-between can make you restless, because it offers no familiar identity to cling to. But, my child, it is precisely the in-between where I work most powerfully. There, assumptions are stripped away. There, motives are refined. There, you learn not to rush to label yourself by roles or achievements. You learn to stand bare before the truth and to let me clothe you with wisdom. I also want you to notice the subtle changes within you. The way you are no longer as easily triggered as before, the way you are beginning to discern which voices deserve your attention and which are merely noise, the way you no longer rush to conclusions when something is unclear. These changes are not accidental. They are signs that your mind is being retrained, that your heart is lay during this season. You are being invited to re-examine your relationship with time. You once lived as though everything required an immediate answer, as if slowing down meant falling behind. But I am teaching you that there are things that only grow at a slower pace. A seed does not sprout faster because you stand over it watching. On the contrary, impatience can cause you to dig it up before its roots have taken hold. I am inviting you to trust the process, not because you are being passive, but because you are learning to cooperate with a wisdom that reaches beyond what you can see. You will also begin to notice that I am reshaping how you understand success. In the past, You may have measured success by visible results, by recognition, by the feeling of completion, but I am opening before you a different measure: faithfulness to what is right, peace within your decisions, and integrity between your inner life and your outward actions. True success does not fragment you. It does not demand that you trade your inner life for achievement. It allows you to move forward while keeping your soul whole. You may find that some old dreams no longer carry the same pull they once did. That does not mean you have lost your dreams. It means your dreams are being refined. I am not extinguishing your longing. I am purifying it. I am removing the elements that turned your dreams into a burden comparison. The fear of being left behind. The need to prove yourself. As those things fall away, the truest dream will rise, lighter, clearer, and more closely aligned with who I created you to be. My beloved, let me speak to you about obedience in this season. Obedience is not blind compliance. It is trust that I see what you do not yet see. There will be moments when I guide you along paths that few people understand. Do not let that cause you to doubt my leading. You are not called to follow the crowd. You are called to follow truth. And truth sometimes leads through narrow paths, not to lose you, but to keep you safe from detours that quietly drain the soul. I am also teaching you a deeper lesson about choice. Not the choice between good and evil, but between good and right. Some things are good, yet not right for this season. Some opportunities are attractive, yet out of step with the rhythm I am setting. When you learn to say, "Not yet," you are protecting what I am building within you. A timely refusal is a form of wisdom. It does not close the future, it preserves the future intact. On the days when you feel as though you are not doing much, remember that I am doing a great deal within you. I am reordering priorities, recalibrating perception, and deepening your roots. You do not see it because much of the work is happening beneath the surface, but you will see the result in time, not as a sudden explosion, but as an unshakable steadiness. When the winds come, you will not ask, "Why didn't I fall?" You will realize that you were prepared. I also want you to know that the simplicity you are learning is not poverty. It is refinement. When your life becomes less complicated, you hear more clearly. When your schedule loosens, you breathe more deeply. When your relationships stop pulling you in too many directions, you love more fully. I am not taking joy away from you. I am restoring joy to its pure form, joy that does not depend on constant stimulation, but is rooted in presence. And in all of this, I do not leave you in complete darkness. I give you enough light for each step. At times, that light is only sufficient for where you place your foot, not for seeing far ahead. But each step placed rightly will carry you a long way. As you have heard in Scripture, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. I do not promise you a detailed map. I promise you faithful light. My beloved, let patience become your companion. Patience does not slow you down, it keeps you in rhythm. When you are patient, you do not force unripe fruit to ripen. You allow what is forming to mature fully. And when its time arrives, nothing will need to be forced. Everything will open with the natural ease of grace. Finally, I want you to hold this deeply within you. You are not late. You have not gone the wrong way. You are not out of step. You are exactly where I want you to be, even if this place does not look like what you once imagined. I am leading you not only to a destination, but toward a new kind of person, one who knows how to listen, how to wait, how to discern, and how to trust. Continue walking with me in this awareness. Let me complete the work I have begun, and when the time comes for you to look back, you will see that the quietest stretches of the road laid the foundation for the strongest strides. I am with you, unchanging. unwavering, and unfinished. And everything I am doing will give birth to life, at the right time, in the right way, and for the good of your soul. My beloved child, I am leading you into a deeper level of maturity, a place where you no longer live by the feeling of being supported from the outside, but learn to stand firm from inner conviction. At this depth, I no longer use the same clear signs as before to reassure you, not because I am silent, but because I trust you more. I am training you to become someone who can discern in dim light. Remain faithful, even without immediate encouragement, and walk in truth, even when the path is not adorned with praise or recognition. You will notice that in this season, I do not rush to fix every discomfort you feel. Some discomforts are not problems to be solved, but signals that you are stepping out of an old pattern. When a garment no longer fits, the first sensation is not comfort but tightness. Yet that very tightness tells you that you have grown. I do not mend the old garment. I am preparing a new form for you, one that matches the stature you are entering. I am also inviting you to face an important truth. Not everything that leaves is a loss. Some things depart your life because they have completed their purpose. You have learned what you needed to learn, received what you needed to receive, and been protected long enough. Holding on to them out of habit will only slow you down. I am not taking from you. I am freeing you from dependence on what no longer nourishes life. During this time, you will find yourself less compelled to explain yourself. Before, you may have felt the need to clarify your motives, prove your sincerity, or defend your choices. Now you are learning a new language, the language of quiet assurance. When you know you are within my will, you do not need to argue to be understood. Your peace will speak for you, and those who need to understand will do so. Not through your words, but through the fruit of your life. I am also teaching you how to take responsibility without condemning yourself. There are things you look back on and wish you had done differently. I do not deny those lessons, but I do not want you to remain in regret. Regret pulls you backward. Wisdom moves you forward. Receive the lesson. Place it in my hands, and continue on. You do not need to keep paying a price for decisions I have already forgiven. I do not keep ledgers of debt. I build the future. My beloved child, you may feel as though you are walking more alone than before, not because I have moved away from you, but because I am reducing secondary supports so that you learn to rely fully on me. These supports are not bad. They were simply never meant to carry your full weight. When I remove some of them, you may feel unsteady at first. Yet in that unsteadiness, you will discover that I am still holding you, not through loud signs, but through unwavering faithfulness. I also want you to notice how you are learning to say, enough. Enough with unrealistic expectations. Enough with comparing your journey to others. Enough with forcing yourself to run faster than the pace I have set. When you say enough to these things, you do not become lazy. You become free, free to invest your energy in what truly bears fruit, within you and through you. In this season, I will not lead you into many grand events, but I will lead you into pivotal moments. These moments may look ordinary on the surface, a conversation, a small decision, a time when you choose silence instead of reaction. Yet these are the moments shaping who you will become in the seasons ahead. Do not despise small choices. They are the quiet bricks of a strong foundation. You are also learning to trust me even when your emotions do not agree. Trust is not the feeling of certainty. Trust is choosing to walk even when you do not yet see. There will be days when you do not feel me as before. That does not mean I am absent. It means you are moving from faith based on feeling to faith grounded in truth. And truth does not sway with moods. It stands firm. Remember this. My guidance never contradicts the nature I have revealed. I do not pull you into chaos and call it faith. I do not drive you into exhaustion and call it obedience. I lead you in order, in sufficient light. And in life, if you find yourself driven by fear, by comparison, or by the sense of being behind, pause. My voice does not carry haste. My voice carries clarity even when the road ahead is still long. There will be times when you stand before an unclear choice on one side. What is familiar? On the other. What is right? The familiar offers immediate comfort. What is right offers lasting life. I do not force you, but I invite you to trust that lasting life is worth more than temporary security. When you choose what is right, you may lose certain conveniences, but you will keep your soul whole. I am also at work in the way you pray. You will notice that your prayers become less wordy, yet deeper. Less asking for this to happen, and more asking, teach me how to walk rightly. Less trying to control outcomes, and more seeking to move in rhythm with my will. This is not regression, this is maturity. When you pray this way, you are no longer struggling against me, you are walking with me. Along this journey, allow yourself to rest when you need to rest, to weep when you need to weep, and to wait when you need to wait. These things do not make you weak. They keep you real. I do not need you to become a machine of obedience. I desire you to become a child who knows how to listen, how to respond, how to trust. This truth is reflected in Scripture, where it says, "Be still, and know that I am God." Psalm 4:610. Stillness is not inactivity. Stillness is placing me in the highest position. My beloved, let me close this part with this. I am not leading you in circles. Every step, even the smallest one, is moving you forward. You are not repeating old lessons, you are digging deeper into new ones. And as you dig deeper, you will find treasure, not the treasure of display, but the treasure of stability. That stability will become a refuge, not only for you, but also for those whom I will bring into your life in the days to come. Continue to walk in quiet faithfulness. Continue choosing truth over convenience. Continue trusting even when you cannot see the full picture. I am with you not only at the end of the journey, but in every step you are placing now, and I will complete what I have begun, without haste, without deviation, without abandonment, because my love for you does not depend on your speed, but on the purpose I have already set. My beloved, I am leading you to a point where you will understand that true maturity is not loud, not showy, and does not need to defend itself. At this point, you no longer react to the touch of circumstances the way you once did. You begin to respond not from old instincts, but from conscious, illuminated choice. That is the sign that your inner life has shifted from being driven to being guided. And that difference, though subtle, will transform the way you live in the seasons ahead. You will come to see that I am training you to discern between noise and calling. Noise comes from urgency, from the pressure to decide immediately, from the fear of missing out. Calling comes from stillness, from clarity that does not need argument, from peace anchored deep within. When you learn to tell these two apart, you will no longer be pulled around by sudden emotional waves. You will stand firm not because you lack emotion, but because emotion no longer sits in the driver's seat. In this phase, I will invite you to learn a difficult lesson, the lesson of allowing things to remain unfinished while still being at peace. You have grown accustomed to closing every loop, completing every task, finding answers to every question. But there are things that must be left open not because I have forgotten, but because I am working to a different rhythm. When you allow those things to remain open, you learn to trust me even when certainty has not yet arrived. And it is precisely in that space of the unfinished that your faith is refined. I am also adjusting how you understand strength. Before, you may have thought strength meant endurance, the ability to not collapse under pressure. But I tell you, this deeper strength is knowing when to release. Releasing is not giving up, it is returning control. When you release what does not belong to you, outcomes, other people's reactions, timelines measured by the world's standards, you will feel a new kind of strength rise within you. That strength is not tense, it is steady. My beloved, I am teaching you how to live without defensiveness. Defensiveness drains your energy because it keeps you bracing for things that have not yet happened. When you live without defensiveness, you are not naive, you are awake. You set clear boundaries, but you do not build high walls. You know who you are, so you do not need to prove yourself. You know where you belong, so you do not need to compete. This state opens the way for healthier relationships not built on fear or control, but on truth and mutual respect. Top of form, bottom of form, my beloved child. You may begin to notice that I am inviting you to change the way you measure a good day. A good day is no longer defined by how much you accomplish, but by whether you are where I want you to be. There are days when you do very little by outward standards, yet those days are fully aligned with my standards. Do not dismiss such days. They are the days that lay the foundation for endurance, the very endurance you will need when responsibility increases. I also want you to pay attention to how you are learning to say, not yet. Not yet the time. Not yet this thing. Not yet that direction. Not yet does not shut the door on the future. It keeps the future rightly timed. When you say not yet in obedience, you are honoring my rhythm rather than the rhythm of haste. And my rhythm always leads toward life, never toward depletion. In the days ahead, I may allow you to experience more simplicity, fewer words, fewer tasks, fewer explanations. This simplicity is not a narrowing, it is a refining. When you live simply, you see more clearly what is truly necessary. You hear more clearly what is truly worth hearing. You love more deeply because you are no longer scattered. Do not fear simplicity. It is a sign of inner maturity. My beloved child, know that I am preparing you for things you cannot yet fully imagine. But this preparation does not happen by adding more burdens. It happens by teaching you to stand firm in truth, to keep your heart soft without becoming weak, and to walk steadily without becoming rigid. I am building within you a foundation that is not based on passing emotions, but on convictions that have been refined and strengthened. You may ask yourself, when will I know that I am ready? I answer you this way: when you no longer need to know whether you are ready or not, when it is enough for you to know that I am with you. True readiness does not come from feeling confident, but from trusting deeply enough to take the step, and each step you take will release light for the step that follows. I am also teaching you how to see failure not as an ending, but as information. Information for adjustment, for learning, for continuing forward with greater wisdom. You are not defined by your stumbles. You are shaped by how you rise again, how you look back, and how you continue walking in humility. I am not ashamed of you when you are wrong. I draw very near to teach you what needs to be learned. My beloved child, let me remind you of this scripture, a word not merely to read, but to live by. The Lord will fulfill His purpose for me. O Lord, your steadfast love endures forever. Psalm 1388. This means you do not have to strain to finish your own story. I will finish it. Your part is to walk faithfully today, with the light that is sufficient for today. As you learn to live this way, you will find yourself lighter without being empty, steadier without being hard, freer without being lost. You will notice that your decisions carry the fragrance of peace. You will see your relationships being reordered into a healthier alignment. and you will see yourself no longer torn apart by too many roles, becoming integrated, whole, and consistent. Keep walking with me, my beloved. Do not measure this journey by speed or by comparison. Measure it by faithfulness and by the life that is growing within you. I do not lead you on pointless detours. Every bend has a purpose. Every pause has meaning. And every step you place in trust is carrying you to the place I have appointed, not merely a destination, but a way of life aligned with truth, upheld by grace, and covered by a love that never runs dry. My beloved child, I am bringing you to a new place of standing, not higher so that you look down on others, but deeper so that you can see yourself more clearly. From this place, you no longer need constant reassurance in order to keep moving forward. You are learning to live with a quiet trust, a trust that does not need to be continually affirmed by signs or intense emotions. This trust is like bedrock beneath the ground, unseen, yet carrying the weight of the entire house. When the rain comes, the bedrock does not speak, it simply remains firm. I am building that foundation within you. You will come to realize that the questions that once unsettled you no longer hold the same power, not because you now possess all the answers, but because you have learned how to live well, even when answers are still missing. This is a profound shift. You no longer suspend your peace on outcomes, but anchor it in my presence. When you do this, days filled with much activity and days with little activity carry equal worth. Both are days in which I am with you. I am also inviting you to learn a new rhythm of faithfulness, a faithfulness that is not impulsive, not dependent on fleeting inspiration, but steady like a heartbeat. A heartbeat does not require praise, it simply remains faithful to its function. You do not need to prove your faith through grand actions. At times, faith is revealed most clearly in keeping small promises, caring for what has been entrusted to you today, and walking in integrity when no one is watching. In this season, I am healing the way you see yourself when you do not achieve something. In the past, you may have measured your worth by productivity or visible progress, but I am gently removing that measuring stick from your hands. Your value does not increase when you do more, nor does it diminish when you do less. Your value flows from relationship, from belonging to me. As this truth sinks deep, you will stop driving yourself to exhaustion by chasing standards that were never meant to sustain you. My beloved child, I am also teaching you how to listen to yourself without fear. Listening is not about idolizing emotions, but about recognizing what needs care. There are subtle signals, fatigue, discouragement, heaviness, that are not invitations to self-blame, but cues for adjustment. When you learn to listen to these signals with wisdom, you will not allow them to accumulate into burdens. I do not want you merely strong, I want you whole. You will notice that I am refining the way you love. Before, you may have loved by overgiving, sacrificing yourself to depletion, and calling that faithfulness. But I am teaching you to love in truth, to love without losing yourself, to love while keeping healthy boundaries, to love without controlling outcomes. True love does not require you to disappear, it creates space for you to be fully present. When you love this way, you not only bless others, you protect what I am nurturing within you. I am also inviting you to receive slowness as a grace. The world celebrates speed, but I value steadiness. Some things, if they arrive too quickly, will not last. Some fruit, if harvested too early, will not yet be sweet. When you accept a slower pace, you allow roots to grow deep, trunks to strengthen, and fruit to appear in its proper season. Do not worry if others seem to be moving faster. You are walking rightly. My beloved, there will be times when you notice a waning interest in old races you once ran. Do not fear this change. It is a sign of maturity. When you stop seeking constant stimulation, you make room for depth. Depth is not loud, but it endures. It gives you the capacity to remain with difficulty without breaking, and to delight in simplicity without display. I am leading you into that depth. In the days ahead, you may be invited to make quiet decisions without applause, without opposition, with only me and you. These decisions will shape you more than choices that draw attention. When you choose what is right in silence, you are building an inner pillar. That pillar will support you when the lights are on, and hold you steady when the lights go out. I am also teaching you a precious art, the art of waiting without delay. Waiting is not standing still out of fear of making a mistake. Waiting is preparing in quietness. While you wait, you reorder priorities, cleanse motives, and keep your heart open. When the moment arrives, you will not panic. You will step forward with the ease of one who is ready. My beloved, know that I do not place you in uncertainty to test you in vain. I place you in uncertainty to teach you to live by what does not change. When you no longer rely on temporary signs, you learn to rely on enduring promises, and that promise is not affected by circumstances. As Scripture says, "The righteous shall live by faith," Romans 1:17. That faith does not need to see ahead, it needs to walk faithfully today. I am also helping you understand that peace is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to remain with me in the midst of it. When you remain, you do not rush to fix everything. You allow truth to surface, allow time to do its work, and allow me to guide each step. Such peace is not fragile, it is flexible and strong. My beloved, there will be moments when you feel as though you have less than before, fewer plans, less certainty, fewer words to say. Do not misunderstand this. You are not diminished, you are being simplified. When what is excessive falls away, what is essential comes into view. And what is essential? Trust, faithfulness. Humility will carry you farther than any strategy ever could. I am preparing you for deeper relationships, relationships not built on roles or advantage, but on truth and respect. To enter these relationships, you must be free from the need to impress. When you no longer need to impress, you can be truly present. And true presence is a rare gift in a noisy world. Finally, remember that this journey is not measured by dramatic milestones, but by consistency. Consistency in how you listen, consistency in how you choose what is right, consistency in how you love and how you rest, consistency in how you return to me when your heart is confused. That consistency will form a life with depth, a life not easily shaken by sudden change. Keep walking. My beloved, I do not urge you to run. I invite you to remain. Remain in truth. Remain in peace. Remain in grace. As you remain, you will find yourself upheld in ways that are subtle, yet enduring. And then, at the appointed time, what I have planted within you will blossom not loudly, not for display, but strong enough to stand, whole enough to give life, and bright enough to light the way for those who will walk after you. Beloved Father, I come before you in a slowing down that is very gentle, very real. I choose to lay down the restlessness that has been running endlessly through my mind, the worries that still have no answers, and the noise that daily life has quietly layered over my heart. Teach me how to listen to you not with my physical ears, but from the deepest place of my soul, the place I so often neglect because I am too busy with the outside world. Grant me the courage to remain in silence, not rushing to fill it with thoughts or emotions, but allowing that silence to become the space where you can touch me. I believe that in this stillness, you are whispering things that carry the breath of eternity, and my soul needs your presence more than it needs any explanation. Father, I confess that so often I pay attention only to what is loud, obvious, and easy to name. But today, I ask you to open the eyes of my heart so I may recognize that great things are being woven in silence, even when my life appears ordinary. I trust that you are working at depths I have not yet reached. Help me not to dismiss the days that seem as though nothing is happening, for it is precisely in those days that my future is being shaped. When I cannot see, help me to trust. When I do not understand, help me to remain. And when I begin to sense subtle movements within my heart, remind me that you are still holding the entire process with the love of a father who knows the road ahead. Loving Father, I lift before you the quiet anxiety in my heart about the truths that are about to be spoken. I know there are things I am not yet ready to face, not because I am weak, but because I have grown accustomed to keeping everything stable. Today, I lay my need for control at your feet. If tomorrow I must cry, help me understand that those tears are not a sign of failure, but the natural response of a heart being touched by light. Let me feel safe enough in your love not to run from the truth, but to step into it, trusting that you have already gone before me, that you are waiting for me there, and that you will not leave me alone in that moment. Father, I entrust to you the conversations that are coming, the words that will be spoken, and the decisions that are not in my hands. Guard my heart from bitterness, from self-blame, and from assigning every change as my own fault. When I hear things that cause my heart to tremble, remind me that my worth is not defined by the choices of others. Grant me the grace to receive truth without losing myself, to feel pain without letting it become a permanent dwelling place. I trust that you are using even these difficult decisions to lead me out of old limitations and into a space of living that better fits the person I am becoming. Gentle Father, if tomorrow my tears fall, help me not to fear my own emotions. Keep me from forcing a false strength and from closing my heart out of fear of vulnerability. Help me understand that tears do not make me smaller, they widen me. They do not come to drown me, but to wash away burdens I have carried for far too long without realizing it. Let me weep in your presence, so that each tear may become a wordless prayer, received by you and transformed into deep healing within my soul. Father, when emotions rise, remind me that I am not the sum of my moments of weakness. I am not the result of one difficult conversation, nor the aftermath of an unexpected change. I am someone you called by name before I ever knew who I was. Help me hold on to that identity even when my heart trembles. Lead me through my emotions with clarity, so that my tears do not become a prison, but a doorway into a new level of freedom you are inviting me to enter. Father, there are moments when I feel as though I am standing at a crossroads, unsure of what is ending and what is beginning. Help me remember that, even when I cannot see the map, you have already gone ahead of me. Keep my steps from confusion, from rushing to conclude that everything is falling apart. Help me trust that even when one chapter closes in tears, you are still writing the story of my life with patience and clear purpose. I place my future in your hands, trusting that no shaking can break what you have engraved deeply into my soul. Father, if old defenses are being dismantled, please help me not to resist that process. If invisible chains are being revealed, grant me the humility to let them go. Let my tears become a cleansing stream, washing away beliefs that no longer fit, habits that once helped me survive but now keep me from living fully. Make my heart lighter, clearer, and ready to receive the light in a new way that you are preparing. Father, I thank you for not allowing me to remain in the darkness of things left unnamed. Even when truth comes like a cut, I trust that it is the cut of the healer, not of destruction. Give me the trust to allow light to enter the hidden corners of my heart, even if it hurts at first. Help me remember that your purpose is not to make me bleed, but to prevent pain from lingering in silence. I place myself in your hands, trusting that beyond truth lies freedom. Beloved Father, I do not know what tomorrow will bring, but today I choose surrender. I do not ask for a path without tears. I ask for a heart strong enough to walk through tears with you. Remind me that tears are not enemies, but messengers announcing transformation. Let me step into tomorrow with the quiet understanding you have planted in my heart today, so that even if I cry, I will not be swept away. I will not lose myself, and I will not doubt the love that guides me step by step. I am here. You are here, and that is enough. Beloved Father, I come before you, not fully understanding what is unfolding within me. There are vague sensations, gentle yet persistent stirrings that I cannot clearly name. I ask you for the grace not to rush to explain, not to hastily seek answers, but to learn to remain in silence with you. Help me see that not everything needs to be understood immediately to be meaningful. Some processes can only unfold when I accept not being in control, when I allow my heart to stay open without defense. Guard me from the fear that if I do not understand, I will lose my way. Remind me that you do not lead me by confusion, but by presence. When my mind cannot yet keep up, let my soul still recognize your voice through a quiet peace. I trust that even in spaces without answers, you are working with precision and love. Teach me how to listen with my whole being, not only with my thoughts. When the world around me is still loud, grant me an inner place quiet enough for you to enter. I choose to believe that silence is not your absence, but the space where you wait for me with the patience of a father who knows exactly what I need and when I need it. Gentle Father, I confess that I am afraid to cry, not because I do not want to feel, but because I fear that once the tears fall, I will no longer be able to hold myself as before. I am afraid that emotions will carry me away, that I will become weaker, more fragile. Today, I ask you to touch that fear with your truth. Help me understand that tears are not my enemy. They do not come to destroy me, but to speak what words cannot. Let me feel safe enough in your love to allow myself to cry without shame, without self-condemnation. When tears fall, let me sense your hand very near, not rushing me, not reproaching me, simply present to support me. Remind me that true strength is not the suppression of all emotion, but the courage to let truth pass through me without breaking me. I trust that you do not allow me to cry so that I lose control, but so that I may be cleansed, lightened, and made freer. I offer you both my fear and the tears yet to come, trusting that you will use even what I fear to open a deeper level within my soul. Loving Father, if the truth that is coming does not take the shape I expect, give me a heart soft enough to receive it. I know there are truths that are hard to hear and hard to accept, because they touch expectations I have nurtured and assumptions I have grown accustomed to believing. Today, I place my desires under your light. Do not let me close my heart when truth brings pain. Give me the clarity to discern between pain that heals and pain that destroys. I trust that truth from you does not come to condemn me, but to free me from burdens I have carried for too long, even if I tremble at first. Remind me that you were there before me, that you see the whole picture while I see only a small corner. Grant that I may not use truth as a blade to wound myself, but as a light that helps me see the path ahead more clearly. I believe that when truth is named, my soul will no longer need to pretend, and that moment is the true beginning of freedom. Father, I bring before you my fear that the changes ahead may make me no longer who I used to be. I am afraid that when something familiar leaves, I will feel empty, disoriented, and unsure of where I belong. Yet today, I ask you to remind me that my identity does not rest in circumstances, does not depend on attachments, and is not rooted in outward stability. Help me hold firmly to the truth that I belong to you before I belong to anything else. When everything around me is shifting, give me a steady anchor in your unchanging love. Allow me to pass through change without losing my essence, without betraying the values you have planted within my heart. I believe that what departs has no authority to define who I am, and that what is coming will not require me to trade away my soul. Grant me the courage to step into a new season with honesty, humility, and the confidence that you are leading me into a way of life more aligned with the person I am becoming. Father, I recognize that there are layers of defense within me that were formed over time to help me survive. But today, I ask you to show me which layers must remain and which must be gently removed. If tears are the way you reach the places I have tightly sealed, give me the grace not to resist that process. Help me understand that emotions are not something to be destroyed, but something to be illuminated. As I allow myself to feel fully, guide these emotions to their rightful place, so they do not become chaos but instead turn into cleansing waters. Wash away beliefs that no longer serve me, and the stories I once told myself to stay safe, but which no longer fit who I am now. I believe that after this cleansing, my heart will become clearer, lighter, and ready to receive light in a new way. I place this entire process in your hands, trusting that you know exactly where to touch, when to touch, and how to touch my soul. Beloved Father, in the end, I choose to surrender this whole journey to you. I do not know every step ahead, but I know the one who is leading me. Help me stop resisting, stop comparing, and stop trying to predict outcomes. Grant me the peace to take small steps, one day at a time, in trust. If I must weep, let me weep in your embrace. If I must release something, let me release it without bitterness. If I must wait, let me wait without despair. I believe that nothing unfolding is beyond your reach, and nothing can destroy me when you are with me. I offer to you both my present and my tomorrow, all that I understand and all that I do not yet understand. Bring to completion in me what you have begun, so that when I look back, I will see that every tear, every shaking, and every moment of silence has drawn me closer to your heart than ever before. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong and growing community of faith.